A warm welcome to all UG students joining us for this live teleconference session today. I am Dr. Kishore Kumar, in charge head, Department of Zoology, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. Today we are going to learn about ecosystem and animal association. This session is specially designed for third semester zoology students to explore important concepts like ecosystem structure and components of ecosystem and animal association, food web, food chain and geochemical cycles. After completing this teleconference session, you will be able to understand the interrelated coordination mechanism between the abiotic and biotic factors, and you can explain about food chain, food web, and you can appreciate the energy flow between the animals and in ecosystem, and you will be able to understand the components of ecosystem and their role in protecting environment, and you can describe the types of animal association. Finally, you will be able to apply the knowledge to preserving the ecosystem. This session is meant to be engaging and thought provoking. So, I encourage you to stay curious, take notes, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask end of the session. So, you can call on 040-23-680-456. I repeat again 040-23-680-456. So, it is my pleasure to introduce our subject experts. We are honored to have with us Dr. Meenakshi Garu, in charge head, Department of Zoology, University College of Saifabad, Usmania University, and a highly respected expert in the field of zoology. And we are very grateful to have Dr. Karuna Kumari Garu, Assistant Professor in Telangana Gurukula Degree College, Bongiri. Madam, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University is offering BSc program in Telugu, English and Urdu medium. So, I request you to kindly use Telugu, English and Hindi words wherever required. Thank you, madam. And let's welcome Dr. Meenakshi Garu. Madam, what is the exactly definition of ecosystem and what are the components of ecosystem?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Kishore, for inviting me here. Now, good afternoon, students. Here, ecology. All the animals, or when we talk about each and every individual that is surviving, they are completely surrounded by an environment, and that environment is a part of our earth. When we talk about our earth comprises of the atmosphere, the lithosphere and the geosphere. Now, when we talk about the lithosphere consists of the land, and in this land variety of animals are present. To study about these animals, we require certain parameters, that is small units, and those units contribute to the ecosystem. So, when we talk about the complete study of ecosystem, it is nothing but the ecology is a study where we are studying about the oikos, and that means the dwelling of animals in the lithospheric region. So, ecology is the term that is being coined by Ernst Haeckel, and he said that it is nothing but the interactions between the abiotic and biotic compositions that are there in the entire area, which is the animal is completely surrounded by an environment. When we talk about the interactions and the environment, this leads to a composition of an ecosystem. Ecosystem is a functional unit of ecology. That means to study about a larger category, it is very difficult. So, we divide them into smaller parts, and those forms a ecosystem. And each ecosystem comprises of large number of substances like abiotic substances and biotic substances. This ecosystem term has been given by Transley in 1935, and he said that it is not only the interaction but also the behavior of the animals in association with the abiotic factors. What are these abiotic factors? That is all the physical and chemical parameters which is surrounding the animal. Like we can divide that into two categories. One is biotic and the abiotic components. So, complete structure of ecosystem can be divided as abiotic, biotic components. Abiotic components comprises of the temperature, light, wind, pressure, pH, soil, etc. And the biotic components comprises about all the living substances like plants, animals, microorganisms, etc. So when we talk about the abiotic components, they are organic, inorganic, as well as the soil or rocks, etc. Let us talk about a few of them, that is temperature. How temperature is influencing the life of animals. The temperature, when there is an increase in the temperature, the animal cannot survive. There are the limitations for an animal to survive within a temperature. So if temperature increases, then the animal will try to cool its body by sweating. When the temperature is becoming too cold, then they keep warm so that no heat goes out of the body. So temperature plays an important role in an ecosystem. Based on that, we have different types of ecosystem. And when we talk about the animals like polar bear cannot survive here. This is because of the temperature difference. They are adapted to the region of the cold climate. Similarly, the camel, it cannot survive in the cold region because it is adapted. So animals get adapted to their ecological niches. So temperature plays an important role how the animal is going to behave. Like for example, when we see the ears of a polar bear, ears of the polar bear will be very small because the temperature, they don't want to release the temperature. Whereas the ears of the foxes, dogs here, they are very large. That means body surface is more. Therefore, when there is heat in the body, that can be transpired outside the body. Likewise, light. If light is not there, we cannot do anything. So light plays an important role. Depending upon the light, the plants will grow. How that is called as a photoperiodism, and animals also will try to move according to the sources of light, that is where the light is there, they will be moving. Some of the animals, they are called as a nocturnal animals, they will be going away from the light. So they adapt to their behavior, and that is how the habitats are being formed. Similarly, pH, if we take the soil pH, if pH increases, then the chemical compositions like carbonates, bicarbonates, chlorides, these are the mineral components that are there which will bring about the alteration in the soil. If soil is altered, plants cannot grow. When there is no vegetation, the animal survival will be difficult. So pH also plays an important role. Similarly, winds, they will be eroding the soil. When they are eroding the soil, plantation will not be there, vegetation is being lost. So animal life sustenance will be difficult. Like that, we have n number of factors in the abiotic which will give the type of the life that is existing in that particular area. Desert, the composition of plants, the soil, etc. will be different. Temperature will be different. Similarly, when you take water system, aquatic system, light cannot penetrate deep into the water. So what type of physiological mechanism the animals will have? They get adapted to that particular nature. Have you any time seen whales, sharks? They do not have larger eyes. They have very small eyes because there is no need of eye for them because they are deeper down inside where light penetration is less. So animals get adapted to this. So abiotic factor plays an important role in what type of life is going to be present in that particular area. Coming to the biotic parameters or the biotic components. Biotic components, as we said, that we have the plants, animals. Now there is a relationship between them. What are those relationships? When we talk about the plants, they entrap the energy that is coming from the sun and then they convert it into starch and make food for all the other living organisms. The capacity is being given to the plant. So they are called as producers, and they are also termed as autotrophs. They are called as producers or autotrophs. They are capable of preparing their own food. Next comes the animals which are feeding on these plants. When we talk about these animals which are feeding on this plant, we can divide them into grass-eating animals and the animals which are eating the flesh. The grass-eating animals are called as herbivores, and they are also called as primary consumers. When we are calling them as a primary, they will be feeding on grass like cow, goat, etc. And when we talk about the secondary consumers, they will be feeding on these animals like lion, tigers, which are feeding on these animals, that they are called as a flesh eating animals. Any ecosystem, when you see, you have the producers and consumers. Now coming to the third category, that is the tertiary consumers. Tertiary consumers are those, they will be eating the secondary consumers like hawks, eagles, etc., which will be feeding on the lion, tiger, etc. So like that, a complete chain is being formed and they have an association that continues in an ecosystem. So producers and consumers. Coming to once the dead organisms are present, like plants are dying, animals are dying, those animals, they have to be recycled back. So decomposers are the third category that is present: producers, consumers, and then the decomposers. Decomposers will act on the food material, that all the mineral sources, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and then they recycle back all the elemental composition back into the environment. And not only that, other two terminology what we should learn here is the omnivores and detrivores. Omnivores are those animals which feed on both plants and animals. And coming to the detrivorous animals are those animals which will be feeding only on the dead matter. So detrivorous animals, they are also required in our society that to clean away the dead matter that is present in the nature. So based on that gives a complete concept of an ecosystem, which forms the structure of the ecology, that is a basic structural unit. All this should be together. Based on this, we can divide the ecosystems into different categories, different types of ecosystems. We can divide them as natural ecosystems and man-made ecosystem. Natural is naturally they are being developing, whereas man-made ecosystem like cropland, like in a particular area we are doing agriculture. In that agriculture we are growing paddy. So paddy, the animals which are feeding on those particular plants only will be present. The insects that are feeding on those will be present, and the birds which are feeding on those insects will be present. So like that we are preparing one particular habitat. So it's similarly aquarium, that is we are preparing in our home. So aquarium, that is also a man-made ecosystem. Coming to natural, we have two types. One is terrestrial, the other one is the aquatic system. When you come to the terrestrial, we have three major ones. They are the forest, the grassland ecosystem, and the terrestrial ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, and the deciduous ecosystem, etc. Then coming to the aquatic ecosystem, there we have rivers, streams, etc. And also we have certain ponds. So we have two types, that is lentic and lotic type of the ecosystems. Lotic type of the ecosystem, they are the movement, and the lentic, they are the stagnant type of where we will be talking about the pond ecosystem in connection with the types of ecosystem little later.
Okay, madam. Thank you, madam. Now over to Dr. J. Karuna Kumari garu. Madam, what are the functions of ecosystem?
Okay, thank you, Kishore sir. As madam has said all things about abiotic and biotic factors, let us see the functions of the ecosystem. As we all know, the only living things which can prepare the food are nothing but the producers, that is plants. So the plants are the only living beings which can prepare the food by themselves using the sunlight and the abiotic factors. So the main primary function of the ecosystem is production of food, which is mainly by producers using the different abiotic factors like sunlight, water, soil, temperature, and all these things together, they help in the production of the food. And the food which is produced, it will be distributed to all the living beings. So we all know that the food whichever is prepared through photosynthesis, here the water molecules, carbon dioxide along with the sunlight, it will be converted into glucose, and this is nothing but the starch, and this has to be distributed through the food chain. So through the photosynthesis from the producers, the food will be consumed by the consumers. The primary consumers will be the herbivores, and from the herbivores the food will be consumed by the secondary consumers, and from the secondary consumers the food will be later on, it, as madam has said, there are different trophic levels. So from the secondary consumers it will be transferred to the tertiary, and finally when it reaches the decomposers, means when these organisms, after completing their life cycle, it might be through any incident or after completion of their time of duration of lifetime, they will become dead. Once the dead organisms, they has to be recycled, and here for the recycling of the dead and decaying organisms. We have one kind of organisms in one of the trophic levels, that is in the detritus food chain we have decomposers, and these decomposers, they include some bacteria and some other protozoans are also there. On all these things they act upon the dead organisms, and they just convert these complex molecules like proteins and whatever it there, whichever by which the body is built up of, they will be broken down into smaller things, and they will be mineralized, and they will be entering into the soil, and this and the minerals and the vitamins or whatever it might be, whichever has entered into the soil, it will be recycled. Here in the process of recycling, again the producers play an important role, that is plants play a very important role, and we have different cycles here. They are carbon cycle, water cycle, carbon cycle, water cycle is also called as a hydrological cycle, and nitrogen cycle is there, and oxygen cycle is there. The carbon is nothing but is the main organic component by which the cells are, or whatever the organic compound like protein, carbohydrate, all these things are made up of carbon materials. And this carbon cycle here, the production of this carbon is through the producers, that is plants, and this will be consumed by the herbivores and the other levels of trophic level other organisms, like all the biotic components, and this again they enter into the soil, and it will be recycled again. Not only from the plants, carbon dioxide is also released through the respiration, and this will be entering in the atmosphere, and again it will enter into the soil. Not only through this, we will be getting carbon dioxide through different sources like automobiles, factories, and all these will be releasing carbon dioxide or carbon in the form of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, and different kinds of factories and also different electronic things also release carbon in the as a byproduct, and all these will be recycled in the carbon cycle, and it will be going on the same way. And coming to the oxygen cycle, we all know the plants through photosynthesis they produce oxygen, and this oxygen whichever is produced by the plants will be taken up by us, that is the living beings, like it might be human beings, all kinds of biotic factors, all the living beings on the earth required oxygen, and this oxygen will be utilized by the living beings for the cell respiration, and during the cell respiration again carbon dioxide released, whichever is again recycled through carbon cycle, and oxygen is cycled in this way. And coming to the nitrogen, is again it is also recycled from the dead and decaying materials or dead bodies. The substances will be denitrified, okay, and after the denitrification all the nitrogen products will be dissolved in the soil, and also some will be absorbed in the water and some will disappear into the atmosphere, and all these will be again captured by the nitrogen fixing bacteria like rhizobium, whichever is present in the near the root in the form of root nodules, and this will be again recycled, and through lightning, whenever there is a thunders and light, during that process also nitrogen will be released, and in this way nitrogen will be recycled. And finally coming to the water cycle, it is also called as hydrological cycle. As we all know, the water, whatever our earth is almost covered with 75% of water, and the water is recycled very well with the help of the heat whichever is produced from the sunlight, and the water will be evaporated into the atmosphere in the form of water vapor, and this will be forming into the clouds, and when they condensed, and after condensation they form the clouds, and this condensed clouds, whenever there is a heat wave, then they will form into the rain, and the rain again it reaches the land, and it flows different ways like rivers, it reaches the soil by filtration into groundwater, it reaches the groundwater. In this way the water will be recycled. So finally the functions of the ecosystem here is that is nothing but through photosynthesis the producers produce the energy or the food, and this will be consumed by all the living beings, that is biotic factors. here from the using the biotic and abiotic factors, the energy or the food is produced. Food is nothing but energy, and this will be utilized by the biotic factors, and these biotic factors again in turn they will be reaching into the abiotic factors. So in this way the energy is rotated or cycled, recycled and recycled, and it is going on. So here we can understand one thing: energy is, as we know, there is a law, thermodynamics law. The energy is neither created nor destroyed, but it just changes its form. So it just transfers from one form to other form. In this way the energy is circulated through the life cycles of different organisms and different abiotic and biotic factors. And here we have other thing, that is the energy flow in the ecosystem. It is unidirectional. So here as I have told, the energy whichever is produced by the plants using the utilizing the sunlight, it will be 100%. This will be utilized by the herbivores. Some of the energy will be utilized by the herbivores for the production, for the processes of metabolism, that is nothing but the catabolism and anabolism for their livelihood and for different facts, and this will be later on transferred to the next trophic levels, and finally the energy will be cycle, or it will be cycling. So this is all about functions of ecosystem.
Yes ma'am, thank you madam. So as we discussed, the energy or food is synthesized by producer like plants, and it is transferred through primary consumers, secondary and tertiary consumers like herbivores maybe, and carnivores. Yes. So whenever it is the energy is transferred from producers and primary, secondary consumers, it form a chain, food chain, and whenever it is interconnected, it may be form a food webs also. So madam, Meenakshi garu, what is the exactly what are the food chains and food webs are present, and maybe ecological pyramids also is there. So and what are that? Can you explain?
Yes. Now, as madam said that it is the energy is being circulated, right? Now, as I told you that in an ecosystem, the animals that are there, they are feeding on the producers, and then they are being eaten. So the concept of eating and being eaten, okay? Tini and tinadam. So the animals which are feeding on plants are being eaten by somebody else. So they form a chain. The complex chain that is being formed, that is called as a food chain. So it starts like these food chains, when we see everywhere, every cycle, it is that directly we cannot eat the plants. No doubt we are eating all green leafy vegetables, but we are not able to digest the fiber that is there. But food eating and nutrition is totally different from the ecological function. So when we talk about it, what we are eating the dal, rice, all these are the products of the producers. So when we talk about the ecological aspects, the animals are totally dependent on the producers. So producers, let it be the seeds or the fruits or the flowers or the leaves, whatever, the animals or the insects which are eating these fruits, like for example, when we take the example, on your screen you can see that the 3 cycles that has been given, where you are seeing that there is a producer which is being taken up by the primary consumer to secondary to tertiary. So like that, there are n number of chains. Any cycle you take it, the rabbit is eating the carrot, rabbit is being eaten by a snake, or rabbit is being eaten by some bird or eagle, that forms one particular chain. So when we talk about this chain, there is a continuity of transfer of energy that is taking place. The food is being transferred from one source to the other source in the form of energy, and that is called as an food chain. And this food chains, as the energy is being transferred, we can say that they can be expressed in terms of trophic levels. Trophic level 1, trophic level 2, trophic level 3, trophic level 4, like how many animals are there in a particular chain. When we talk about a particular chain, like first it is a trophic level 1. Trophic level 1, it will be taken up by the producers, and we know that there are large number of trees, green plants, etc. So they will be at the base of a particular graph. So So at the base, when we say they are in large numbers and they are called as producers. The next one, the animals which are feeding on these particular plants like cow, goat, sheep, herbivores, they are little less when compared to the green vegetation, so they form the next trophic level. And the animals like lions, tigers, etc., which are feeding on the animals like deer, goat, etc., they are little less when compared to, so they form the third trophic level. And then comes the decomposers. Decomposers will be very less. So when you keep them in a particular hierarchy, it forms a particular triangle, and that triangle we call it as a trophic level pyramid. So where we talk about trophic level, trophic means eating. So when we are eating, we are transferring energy. So combining these two, we are telling that the food chain can be expressed in terms of a trophic level. You can see a diagram on the screen. The next is when we talk about the food web. Food web is, it is just like spider web. One thread will be mixing up with the other thread. So ikkada kuda what happens is mana oka food chain edaithe undi inko food chain to kalisi undadam adi web laga form avadu. Entante carrot has been taken by rabbit has been eaten by eagle, rabbit is also eaten by snake is been eaten by eagle. So ikkada two food chains ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో కలిసి ఉంటుంది. సో అలా మన when we see it is a complete chain, చాలా food chains ఒకరినొకరిని, because the animals will be fed by different types of animals. Lion also will eat the rabbit, tiger also will eat a rabbit, and that is taken by vulture or by eagle. So it forms 2 or 3 different types of the food chains. Those 2 or 3 food chains which are interlinked or interconnected, they are called as food webs. So food webs will be the situation. You can see it on your screen that the animals like rat, it has been taken up by snake is been taken up by the other animal, that is the secondary consumer, and snake is also eaten by the birds like eagle, etc. Or when we take peacock again, when it dies, it has been taken up by other. Or we can take about crane eating the fish is eating the small microorganism, that is also a food chain. Fish is also eaten by some other animal. So like that, all this together, when there is an interlinkage, it is called as a food web. Now coming to what sir has asked, what are ecological pyramids? Now we have been talking about food. What is the food that is being transferred? So when we are talking about food, it is the energy. So energy, how is it being transferred? How we are going to take this energy level, and how we say that whether whatever energy plant is having, the same energy is being there in animals which are eating. So to know that, we show them as graphical representation. Graphical representation ఏదైతే ఉంటుంది, that we call it as an ecological pyramid.
Yes, madam. Thank you, madam. Madam, as we discussed, actually in food chain, అంటే మనకి ఒక ఫుడ్ చైన్ తీసుకుంటే వెన్ ఎవర్ ద యానిమల్స్ ఆర్ ఫీడ్ ఆన్ అదర్ యానిమల్స్. సో ఇఫ్ యూ టేక్ వన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఇఫ్ యూ ఇన్ ఏ ఫీల్డ్, ఈ ఫీల్డ్లో ఏదైనా తీసుకుంటే మనకి క్రాప్స్ కానీ ఏదైనా, మేబీ ర్యాట్స్ ఆర్ డామినేటెడ్ ఆర్ ఇన్సెక్ట్స్ ఆర్ డామినేటెడ్, దీస్ ఆర్ కంట్రోల్డ్ బై అనదర్ animals like snakes. Maybe these snakes also controlled by another like eagle, whatever it is. Yes. So in this connection, these food chains are balanced. I mean, this ecosystem is balanced by these maybe food chains or food webs. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, madam. And over to Karuna Kumari garu. Madam, actually, what is the relationship between this ecosystem and biotic and abiotic components? At the same time, can you explain any ecosystem, particular ecosystem like terrestrial and aquaculture, whatever it is? Otherwise, madam, you can also focus on that.
So as we were talking about the ecological pyramids, it is a pyramid of energy, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of the numbers. So you can see on your screen, they are all interlinked together. Then coming to an example, what we said, keeping all this in view, we will study one example, that is a pond ecosystem. So when we see a pond, it is a static water, it is not moving. అయితే అక్కడ కూడా మనకి జోన్స్ కనిపిస్తాయి. వెన్ వీ సీ దట్ వాటర్ బాడీని, మనకి గట్టు దగ్గర ఉండే ఆర్గానిజమ్స్ వేరే ఉంటాయి, మధ్యలో వెళ్ళేసరికి వేరే ఉంటుంది, వాటర్ క్వాలిటీ కూడా చేంజ్ అవుతుంది. ఇవన్నీ దిస్ ఇస్ బికాస్ మనకి ఏబయాటిక్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ అనేది ఏవైతే లైట్, టెంపరేచర్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయి, సాయిల్, నియర్ బై సాయిల్, యానిమల్స్ అక్కడ వెళ్ళేదాము, పొల్యూషన్ వల్ల ఈ జోన్స్ విల్ బి డిఫరెంట్. So depending upon the light penetration that is there and temperature, we can stratify, we can divide that water body into different zones. One is the zone which is present near the shore. It is called as the region which is called as a littoral region, and which is open, that is called as a limnatic region, and light will be penetrating on the surface, but as you see the depth of the pond, the light will not go towards the deep. చిన్న చిన్న పాండ్స్ అయితే కింద వరకు వెళ్తుంది, కానీ పెద్ద పాండ్ ఉన్నప్పుడు, పెద్ద చెరువులు ఉన్నప్పుడు కింద వరకు కూడా వెళ్ళదు, లైట్ పెనిట్రేషన్ తక్కువ ఉంటుంది. సో అలాంటప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే ఆ సెకండ్ లేయర్ ఎక్కడైతే కొంచెం లైట్ పెనిట్రేషన్ అవుతుంది, ఆ లైట్లో ఆ రీజన్ని మనము ప్రొఫండల్ రీజన్ అంటారు. దాని కింద అస్సలు లైట్ పాస్ అయ్యేదాన్ని ఆ రీజన్ని బెంటాస్ అంటారు. ఈ 4 రీజన్స్ ఉండేసరికి మనకి హ్యాబిటట్స్ కూడా, యానిమల్స్ కూడా సెపరేట్గా ఉంటాయి, వేరే వేరే యానిమల్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఎందుకంటే షోర్ దగ్గర మనకి ప్రొడ్యూసర్స్ ఉంటాయి, చిన్న ప్లాంట్స్ ఉంటాయి, దెన్ అది రూటెడ్ ప్లాంట్స్ అయినా ఉండొచ్చు, సబ్మర్జ్ ప్లాంట్స్ ఏమైనా ఉండొచ్చు. సో బేస్డ్ ఆన్ దట్ ద యానిమల్స్ విచ్ ఆర్ ఫీడింగ్ ఆన్ దీస్ ప్లాంట్స్ విల్ బి దేర్ మైక్రో ఆర్గానిజం లైక్ కోపిపోడ్స్, డాప్నియా, కొన్ని ప్రోటోజోన్స్ అలాంటివి ఎక్కడ ఉండొచ్చు. దాన్ని హంట్ చేసి తినే చిన్న ఫిషెస్ ఉండొచ్చు. చిన్న ఫిషెస్ విల్ బి దేర్ ఆన్ ద టాప్ లేయర్. దాని తర్వాత కింద లేయర్స్ చూస్తే పెద్ద ఫిషెస్ ఉంటాయి. అట్లా ఈకో సిస్టమ్ మెయింటెనెన్స్ అవుతుంది. అండ్ కమింగ్ టు ది లింబెటిక్ రీజన్ అండ్ ది region, you will see that the animals which are larger will be in the depth.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, madam. And over to Karuna, madam. So, and what is the exactly the interrelationship between the ecosystem and organisms?
It is nothing but as we were discussing about different abiotic and biotic factors and their association. Yes. So, in general, in the nature or in the ecosystem, the biotic and abiotic factors, they will interact. This interaction is called as relationship, and this relationship leads to the associations called as animal associations, and these interactions might be between the same species or between different species. If the interaction is between the same species, then that interaction is called as intraspecific interactions, and these interactions are again 2 types. They are intraspecific competition and intraspecific cooperation. In the intraspecific competition, there will be a competition within the species for it might be for the resource, it might be for the space, it might be for the food, it might be for mating, whatever it might be, there will be a competition, or there will be a fight between 2 organisms or 2 forms of the same species organisms. So this type of interaction is called as intraspecific competition. And coming to the intraspecific cooperation, here instead of fight, they cooperate with each other to attain, means to get or to procure the food, space, or it might be mating. So in coordination, in cooperation and coordination, they work out, and this is called as intraspecific cooperation. Here we have different types again. They are cooperative hunting. The best example for cooperative hunting is orcas. It's a killer whale. Whenever it goes for the hunting, to hunt the seals, it will not go alone, but it goes along with its colleagues or its friends, and as 1 or 2 together they go for hunting. And coming to the next type of intraspecific cooperation is group defense. We all, the birds, when we see in the evening, the birds will be going or moving in the sky in a group. So they move in group in order to protect themselves from the enemies, and also whenever there is availability of food, to procure that they go in a group, and also to defend and to achieve something they go in a group. So the organisms here, they may move in the group. If in the case of birds it is flocks, and in the case of animals, the group of the animals is called as herds. So in this way it also leads to intraspecific cooperation. Other thing is parental care. Here the parents, they take care of their children or their offspring in order to conserve or in order to protect their next generation. In this way the interspecific cooperation goes on. And what is coming to the importance of these interactions is that if we discuss about the interspecific competition, it results in the stability or natural selection. Whenever there is a competition, there results, obviously whenever there is a competition, one will be the winner and the other will be the loser. So here in the nature what happens means natural selection takes place. That means naturally the fittest and the strongest and the one which can compete the other will be surviving, and the lost will be, the weaker will be lost. In this way natural selection proceeds. And coming to the next thing is population dynamics. Here if there is a competition, if the competition is regarding if it is in a positive, that means if the competition is positive way, then it results in the decline of the population, and if it is cooperative, then it results in the increase of the population, and all these together results in the evolution of new types of characters.
Yes, madam. Madam, thank you. And what are the exactly associations are there? Maybe positive or negative associations are there. I think each together benefit to each other is there. So how they can you explain any examples?
Yes sir, yes sir. As a continuation to this, as I have told you, animal associations are nothing but the interactions or relationship between the organisms. If it is in the within the species, it is interspecific, and if it is between the different species, then it results in the interspecific species interactions. So here again in interspecific interactions we have different types. Among that, let us as sir has told about the associations and importance, beneficial thing, we shall discuss about mutualism. So the mutualism, here mutualism it is it is based on again two things, that is symbiosis. Symbiosis is there and antagonism is there. Two types of animal associations are. Symbiosis is nothing but beneficial association, as Kishore sir said. Here two things, two organisms or two species, whichever is involved in this association or in this interaction, will be benefited. Here in this again we have mutualism and commensalism. Coming to the mutualism, here two organisms are both the organisms, the symbionts whichever are involved both will be benefited. The best examples for the mutualism are we have hermit crab and sea anemone. So here sea anemone is also benefited. It will be getting transport and food, and other thing is that the hermit crab, it will be protected. And we have different types like rhizobium bacteria. Rhizobium, it helps in nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixing bacteria, it gets shelter and food from the plant roots. At the same time, it provides the nitrogen to the roots, to the plants like leguminous plants. In this way, the plants will be benefited. And mutualism is nothing but living together. Here we have different types again. They are obligative and facultative. Obligative in the sense, here the two species whichever are there in the interaction, they should be there, means they should be together only, then only they can live. If not, if they are apart, that means they are dependent on one on another. If one is not there, then the other will die. So it is called as obligative mutualism. And the other thing is facultative mutualism. It is independent, means if they are apart, if they are away also, they can live, means they can live independently. Coming to the obligate mutualism, we have different types like different examples. Yucca plant and yucca moth, these two are together, means in this yucca plant only the yucca moth will be in these flowers only, it will be residing. If they are apart, they cannot live. Coming to lichens are a combination of fungus and algae. These together they are formed on the rocks, and they will be always together. They will be beneficial to one another. Lichens will be providing shelters, that is a fungus will be providing the food and shelter, and algae will be providing, as it undergoes a photosynthesis, it will provide the food in the form through the process of photosynthesis. And coming to other example is fig wasps and fig trees. These two are very specific. The fig wasps will be present only in the fig trees, near the fig trees. If not, they cannot live separately. And coming to the facultative mutualism, here in the facultative mutualism, best example is aphids and ants. When they are alone, means when they are separate, means when they are separate, they can live separately, independently. whenever they come together, they will be going through the mutualism, means they will come to an understanding that the ants will be protecting the aphids and aphids will be providing the food or sugary substance to the ants. And the next example is crocodile and crocodile bird, that is Palvianus. These two, their association is not compulsory. Whenever there is a chance, they come together. The crocodile, in the crocodile teeth, there will be the food remnants of the food substances, whatever were consumed by it, and these remnants will be removed by this Palvianus bird with its beak. In this way, mutually they will be benefited. From one side, crocodile will be getting protected from that infection, and on the other side, the Palvianus bird will be getting food. On the is goby cleaner fish and the larger fishes. The goby is a smallest fishes, is a kind of species, and this will be cleaning the ectoparasites and other dead cells whichever is present on the larger fishes on the body surface. And here the goby fish will be getting the food substance and the larger fishes will be protected from the ectoparasites. So this is all about the beneficial relation between the organisms, which is nothing but the mutualism.
Yes, thank you, madam. As we discussed, the symbiosis is two type, and mutualism and commensalism. And Dr. Meenakshi garu, what is the exact difference between the mutualism and commensalism?
Okay, thank you, sir. Mutualism ante ఇద్దరు రెండు స్పీషీస్ బెనిఫిట్ అవుతాయి. కమెన్సాలిజం అంటే ఏమవుతుందంటే ఒకరు బెనిఫిట్ అవుతారు, ఇంకో స్పీషీస్ ఏదైతే ఉంది ఆ స్పీషీస్ బెనిఫిట్ కాదు, హామ్ కాదు, అది డిఫరెన్స్. మ్యూచువలిజంలో ఇద్దరికి సమానంగా సపోర్ట్ దొరుకుతుంది, సమానంగా వాళ్ళకి ఏదో బెనిఫిట్ ఉంటుంది. కానీ కమెన్సాలిజంలో మాత్రమే మనకి ఒకటే స్పీషీస్ బెనిఫిట్ అవుతుంది, ఇంకో స్పీషీస్ బెనిఫిట్ కాదు, దానికి హామ్ కూడా కాదు. దట్ ఈస్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ కమెన్సాలిజం అండ్. చిన్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఏంటంటే కమెన్సాలిజం ఇప్పుడు sometimes we will be seeing the animals like buffaloes, cows, they will be moving around, and we see some birds sitting on their head, and then they will be moving around with them. That is they don't want to fly, they just want to be carried by somebody. So the distance has been covered by walking with the animals. So just like cattle ergot, which is present on the grazing animals. Grazing animals ఎక్కడైతే వెళ్తున్నారో అది కూడా దానిపైన కూర్చొని దాంతో వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. అది కమెన్సాలిజం. అది బెనిఫిట్ ఎక్కడ అవుతుంది? ఓన్లీ ఆ బర్డ్కి అవుతుంది, కానీ మాత్రం గ్రేజింగ్ యానిమల్కి అయితే ఏం బెనిఫిట్ అవ్వట్లేదు. అట్లనే దెర్ ఈస్ వన్ పర్టికులర్ యానిమల్ దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ ఎ బర్డ్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ అ ఫ్లిక్కర్ బర్డ్. ఆ ఫ్లిక్కర్ బర్డ్ క్యాక్టస్ లోపల తన గూడు కట్టుకుంటుంది అనమాట. దానివల్ల దానికి లాభం ఏంటి? ఇట్ విల్ బి ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ ఫ్రమ్ ది ఎనిమీస్. It will be getting the shelter, it will be staying there, and it will be protected from the enemies. So for the purpose of travel, for the purpose of shelter, for the purpose of defense, they will be taking the help of some other animal, and only one of the species will be benefited, the other species is not benefited nor it is been harmed. And adi manam a place like commensalism ela divide cheyagalugutamente adi ekkada unnai, adi lopal untaya paina untaya, based on the position, the location where they are there, we can say them as endocommensals or ectocommensals. We all studied physiology. Our physiology, we know that there is a bacteria that is present, that is a commensal bacteria that is present inside, that is called as endocommensals. Like E. coli, మన intestine లో E. coli ఎప్పుడు ఉంటుంది. ఆ E. coli ని commensal అంటాం, because it cannot survive without the food what it is getting. It is helping us taking up the removing the acid, అక్కడ help చేస్తుంది మనకి, కాబట్టి E. coli ఉండాల్సిన అవసరం. సో అది it is helping, and it is helping us, and it's not getting any kind of a benefit. దానికి ఫుడ్ అనేది ఉండదు. సో అలాగే, so when we talk about the gut microbial system, they come under endocommensals, and the ectocommensals are those, they will be present outside, like tick, మనకి mites, head lice, ఇవి ఏవైతే పైన ఉన్నాయి, they will be carried away, they will just get the benefit of sucking blood. So అలాంటి animals, they are called as ectocommensals, where they are present only superficially for certain association. వాళ్ళ ఒక అసోసియేషన్ గురించి అడిగితే టెంపరరీ అసోసియేషనా లేకపోతే వాళ్ళది పర్మనెంట్ అసోసియేషన్. వెన్ వీ టాక్ అబౌట్ ద పర్మనెంట్ అసోసియేషన్, పర్మనెంట్ అంటే ఎపిఫైట్స్ చూసాం కదా, కొన్ని ప్లాంట్ పైనే గ్రో అవుతాయి, సాయిల్ అవసరం లేదు. అలాంటి ఎపిఫైట్స్ పర్మనెంట్లీ దే విల్ బి గ్రోయింగ్ ఆన్ దర్. సో సచ్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ అసోసియేషన్ ఇట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ ది పర్మనెంట్ permanent association. Whereas temporary association ఏంటంటే, in a temporary association what we see is లీచెస్. మనం వాటర్లోకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు లీచ్ వచ్చి మనం కావాల్సినంత బ్లడ్ తీసుకుని వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఆల్వేస్ స్టేయింగ్ విత్ అస్. ఇట్ ఈస్ అ టెంపరరీ కమల్ దట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ గెటింగ్ బెనిఫిటెడ్ విత్ ఇట్. ఇట్ ఈస్ పారాసిటిజం, టెంపరరీ పారాసిటిజం. జస్ట్ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ ఏంటంటే ఇట్ విల్ జస్ట్ కమ్, టేక్ ఇట్స్ ఫిట్ అండ్ గో. దిస్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ వీ కెన్ గివ్ ఇట్ అస్ సక్కర్ ఫిష్. సక్కర్ ఫిష్ పెద్ద ఫిషెస్ దగ్గర వెళ్ళేసి దానికి అతుకొని ఇట్ విల్ బి ట్రావెలింగ్ అండ్ దెన్ ఇట్ విల్ బి sucking the blood and coming out. And there is one more phenomena which is called as fority. That means that animal will be taking the help of other species only for travel purpose. It will, from one place to other, it has to migrate. It will be taking the help of other person. So only for the purpose of travel, when they are going, such type of association is called as a fority associations. So that is the difference between mutualism and commensalism.
Okay, thank you, madam. As we discussed, in symbiosis, maybe commensalism or mutualism, only positive interactions are there. It may be both organisms are benefited, otherwise one is benefited, one is there is not harmful. It may be not benefited, okay, not harmful also. Is there any negative interactions are there? Like over to Karuna garu.
Yes,
madam, is there any negative interactions are there?
Yes sir, there are negative interactions even. That means here at the expense of the other, one will be affected, one will be losing itself. So that is called as antagonism. One thing is symbiosis, it is here mutually they are benefited, but the other thing is antagonism. Here one will be affected and the other will be benefited. So this is a negative type of interaction. Here again in antagonism we have three different types, that is amensalism, parasitism and predation. And amensalism, coming to the amensalism is again it includes two types, that is competition and antibiosis. Amensalism is nothing but just opposite to the commensalism. That is here one will be affected and the other will be safe on safe hands. So again when we go into details of this amensalism, it is of two types, that is competition and antibiosis. Competition, as we have discussed earlier, it has two types of interactions, that is intraspecific interaction and also interspecific interaction. So both the types of interactions are there. So here the competition might be for the raised food or for its survival, it might be for the territory, for mating, for whatever it might be, there will be a competition. The best examples are we can see coming to the intraspecific interactions, we know that if the same kind of prey is there, then there might be the competition between the two organisms. Here the stronger will be surviving or stronger will be getting the food. In the same way, when there is a mating time, there will be a quarrel between the males of the same species for the female. And there are also other interactions where there will be fighting for the territory. They need to occupy the same when the species is same, so everyone want to occupy the same, so there will be fighting between them. There will be some disaster where one will be lost and one will be benefited. In the same way, we have different interspecific interactions. So if suppose if you take example of the cheetah and the other thing, fox or the thing, these two are both are carnivores and they will eat the flesh. So there will be a fight, means there will be a competition for that food. In the same way, when we see there are different other examples like flamingos and fishes. These two, they feed on the zooplanktons, so there will be a competition for the zooplanktons. In the same way, for the territory, when there is a chance to reside, when the one nest is built, the other bird may come and reside. So in this way there will be a competition. So trees, coming to the trees also compete with one another for the sunlight. So the larger one will be growing more and the shorter will be lost. So the short plants or the plants which are like grass, they will be covered with the larger plants, so they may not get sufficient amount of sunlight. So in this way, the smaller plants or the smaller grass, it might be lost or it may die. So it may not grow. So in this way there will be the competition. And coming to the antibiosis is nothing but here some substances are produced, or the chemical substances are produced one of the organisms, these substances which were produced by the first organism will be affecting the next, whichever is there in that interaction, the later will be affected, or it will be harmful, it may kill the later. So it is antibiosis, it is means antibiosis, it's against the life, so it is just killing that organism. The best example is marigold, one of the plants, we all know flowering plants, it produces some chemical substances near its roots in order to prevent or protect itself from the nematodes. And also we all know the best example is penicillin. Penicillin is a fungus, but it produces some substance called as antibiotic substance called as penicillin. Penicillium is a plant, and fungus, and penicillin is the substance which is produced by that fungus, that is, it acts like a antibiotic. So this is how there is a negative interactions even in the environment or in the ecosystem.
Yes, madam, thank you. Already you discussed intraspecific interaction and interspecific interactions. Maybe due to these interactions, maybe competitions are there. Due to this competition, maybe negative effects are there. Sometimes maybe one are affected, otherwise both are also affected. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. And is there any difference between what is that parasitism, predation also is there, and what is that exactly difference, madam?
Yes. Parasitism and predation, they also come as a negative interactions between. So in continuation with what Karuna madam has said, parasitism and predation, these two are two different terms. They are not together. Let us talk about predation first. Predation is a larger animal will be feeding the smaller animal. Like birds will be eating the insects which are present on the agricultural plant. So small insects have been eaten by birds. So that is called as a predator. Larger fish will be eating the smaller fish. That is called as a predation, where you are losing one particular the animal completely. So it is a negative type of an interaction. Coming to parasitism, it is the two organism where we have a different terminology for the parasitism, that is the animal which is present within the other animal, that animal is called as a parasite. This parasite will be taking the food, shelter, everything from the other, and it is getting the benefit, at the same time it is harming the other individual, and that other individual is called as a host. So in parasitism we have a host and a parasite. That relationship will be going on where one will be completely benefited, the other will be totally destroyed. All the diseases, trypanosoma or fasciola hepatica, what you have studied, or you might have studied about dracunculus, strongyloides, all these are the parasitic worms which are present within the host individual, and they do not have their own physiological, they will be taking the food material from us, and we will be completely deprived of our nutrients. So such type of interaction is called as the parasitism. And when we talk about the parasitism, we can also see that as endoparasites and ectoparasites. Endoparasites which are present within the body, like Taenia solium, it is present within the body and it is harming the individual, at the same time it is getting the benefit. The ectoparasites are those which are present outside, like lice, head lice, what we have, they are ecto, they are present outside. Similarly leeches, they are ecto whenever the chance. And leech, when we talk, it is a temporary association, they will come, feed and go. Now what it is doing when it is feeding on our body, it is puncturing our body and taking away all the blood that is there, and that puncture that is there, it is harming the individual. So that is a temporary association of a leech. Similarly, we also see that certain larval forms, what they do is they cannot directly go in the fresh environment, so they need some help. So they will be sticking on to certain fish or certain other smaller insects. They will be spending their lifetime, a small part of their life, till they become young, like Glochidium larva. It is a larva of mussels, that is the mollusk, and when it will be sticking on to the other animals, and by the time they develop into a young one, they will leave that. And it is a temporary parasitic agent. For developing into young, they will be taking their food. So temporary associations can also be seen in parasitism, and there is a permanent association. Permanent associations like what diseases we are having, helminthic diseases, protozoan disease, there is a permanent because they do not have any other life cycle. They will be completing their life cycle within our body, destroying the other individual. So such type of relationships are called as parasitism. So there is large amount of a difference between predation and parasitism. To sum up, like will be telling that all these interactions what we are studied today, antagonism, symbiosis, mutualism, they can be represented like in a checker form. Like if there is a relationship between, for example, we say commensalism. In commensalism, one is benefited, the other is not benefited. So we represent, if the animal is benefited, we represent it with plus. If the animal is not benefited nor it is harmed, then we represent it with 0. And if the animal is having a negative effect, then we represent with negative. So that type of interactions we will be seeing, and these interactions are very, very important in an ecosystem to maintain the ecosystem dynamics. So that is where I talk about the associations.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, madam. And dear students, if you have any questions, you can call on 04023 680 456. This is the time for discussions, my dear students. If you have any doubts, any questions, please call on 04023 680 456. Thank you. And madam, as we discussed, and in ecosystem, biotic and abiotic factors also is there. Okay, maybe biotic components like maybe producers are synthesizing food. Even abiotic factors also most valuable and play a key role. Like for example, for photosynthesis, water is required, and other nutrients, sunlight is very, very important. So if it is any any disturbance is there occur in this abiotic factors, so what are the consequences are there? Can you explain?
When the abiotic concepts are being disturbed, automatically it will have a effect on the entire habitat in that area. Like we have studied about a pond ecosystem. In pond ecosystem, if we are throwing large amount of chemicals, when we are adding large amount of chemicals, what is happening? The oxygen demand is increasing. The oxygen will not, because they will be reacting, the acidity will increase, and acidity will not allow the other components to. So when the change in the water quality is occurring, the animals that are there, they are being suffocated. They will not get proper oxygen. When they are not getting proper oxygen, they cannot run the food chain. When the food chain is not being run, the complete ecosystem will be collapsing. So here, that is what, if any adaptive factor like soil change is there, or water change is there, or any minerals are being added too much, or minerals are less, you will see that the change that is there, it will affect the producers, and producers are not there, automatically the food chain will be detrimental. So pollution is a major cause of threat to the ecosystem. So as students, we should take that we protect our ecosystems properly by managing the greenery, managing the life chain that is going on properly without eliminating any type of a species. This will lead into a drastic change in the ecosystem.
Yeah, yes, madam. Thank you. And today live teleconference was very valuable learning experience for our BSc students, and it is focused on ecosystem and animal association. So already we discussed biogeochemical cycles also. So in these cycles, the nutrients are recycled, and it is transferred to all. Different ecosystem levels are different levels.
Trophic levels.
Yeah, trophic levels. And can you explain, madam, any interconnected these cycles, and what are the consequences are there, if it is any effects are there?
So when we talk about the cycle, let us take nitrogen cycle for example.
Yes.
Nitrogen cycle, say plant. A plant derives its nitrogen source, because for plant we give the fertilizers contain nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. These are the three systems that the three elements that is required. So nitrogen forms one of the base, and nitrogen also forms a base for our amino acids. So it's one that is the proteins. So nitrogen forms a base for the other biotic components. So these
yes,
plants.
Yeah, thank you for your explanation. And dear students, చూస్తున్నారు కదా, ఇంత మాత్రమే కాదు, మనకి యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ ఉంది అంబేద్కర్ యూనివర్సిటీది, అదేవిధంగా మొబైల్ యాప్ ఉంది. యూ కెన్ వాచ్ మోర్ వీడియోస్ అండ్ లెసన్స్ ఇన్ యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ అండ్ మొబైల్ యాప్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.